All right, chat. Let's watch this. The real life Dexter Morgan. The real Dexter Morgan, IRL. Let's see this. The Brazilian Dexter Morgan.
The
Hello?
vigilante serial killer, Pedro Rodriguez's reign of terror.
Reign of
What
terror.
happens when a twisted young man takes justice into his own hands? Meet Pedro Rodriguez Filho, the Brazilian serial killer who targeted drug dealers, rapists, and murderers with cold-blooded efficiency.
Ooh.
Also known as Killer Petey, Rodriguez's name sends shivers down the spine of Brazilians. After all, he's the man who spent 34 years in prison for about 6 dozen murders, becoming the inspiration for the hit TV series Dexter. More astonishing is the fact that after his release from prison, instead of disappearing into obscurity, the vigilante killer reinvented himself as a YouTuber. It's a bizarre twist and a story that's already filled with twists.
Huh? These are actually wait. There's no way that imagine low key. I would. Whoa, hold on. No, wait. Relax. Low key, what I would do is actually what I would do is just name this, since I'm the real one and they base on everything on me. I would just Sun Earner Plot. I would just use the name like it's on based on me, so I would just say F it and just use the name.
And turns. Over the course of several years, Pedro Rodriguez Filho committed dozens of murders, the first of which was at the age of 14, earning him the nickname Killer Petey and Pedrinho Matador. But he didn't stop there. In 1973, his pregnant girlfriend was brutally murdered, sending Rodriguez into a vengeful rage. He hunted down and killed an entire gang he believed was responsible.
That's crazy.
His reputation
I didn't even know that.
Fearsome vigilante.
Didn't know this was true.
As Rodriguez's body count grew, he managed to evade capture for years.
Yeah, how?
Thanks in part to his twisted cunning and the loyalty of the locals in his hometown. When he was finally apprehended, he was sentenced to 71 counts of murder, a number he claimed was much higher. After serving 34 years in prison, that's about 25 weeks per murder, Rodriguez was released in 2007, claiming to have turned over a new leaf. He became a Brazilian celebrity, even launching a YouTube channel where he started his insights on modern crime. But as fate would have it, Rodriguez found himself back in prison in 2011, facing new charges and a possible return to his old ways. Now, would have 34 years in prison. That's about 25 weeks per murder. Rodriguez was released in 2007.
Oh, I thought 17 for some reason. Okay.
And a possible return to his old ways.
Now we're up to
as we explore the
2011
twisted mind of Killer Petey, we must ask ourselves, what drives a man to become a vigilante killer? Can he truly reform a lifetime of violence and bloodshed?
That's crazy.
Join us as we delve deep into the fascinating yet horrifying story of Pedro Rodriguez Filho, the man known as the Brazilian Dexter and the South American Punisher.
Damn.
The dark beginnings of a serial killer. On 17 June 1954, in the quiet countryside of Santa Rita de Sapucaí, south of Minas Gerais, a young boy was born into a world of violence and trauma. Rodriguez's father, in a fit of rage, kicked his pregnant wife's belly, leaving the newborn with a permanent mark on his skull. But this was only the beginning of a dark journey that would shape the rest of Rodriguez's
that's him?
leaving the newborn with a permanent
What's the point of this?
Mark on his skull. But
What?
this was only the beginning of a dark journey that would shape the rest of
I didn't know
Rodriguez's
Dexter was
life.
real. There's a lot of shows that they base it on people foreign, like not in the States, and they do the show here.
Rodriguez grew older. He found himself consumed by a deep.
They do like an
primal
English
urge to
version
kill.
of it.
At the age of 13, during a violent altercation with his older cousin, he pushed the young man into a sugarcane press, almost crushing him to death.
Oh shit.
That moment, Rodriguez had a choice to make: leave his cousin to die or save him. For many, the decision would be clear.
Save
For
him.
Rodriguez, it was a moment of intense inner turmoil. The desire to kill was so strong, so overwhelming, that leaving his cousin to die seemed like the only logical option. Yet something inside him, some glimmer of humanity, pushed him to save his cousin's life. This moment would come to define Rodriguez's life, the duality of his nature, the
duality.
constant battle between his desire to kill and his compassion for others would shape his every decision. And as we delve deeper into his story, we'll discover just how far he was willing to go to feed that primal urge and what ultimately brought him back from the brink. From injustice to infamy. At the tender age of 14, Rodriguez witnessed the devastating effects of injustice firsthand. His father, a security guard at a local high school, was falsely accused of stealing food from the school kitchen and lost his job as a result. Seeking revenge, Rodriguez picked up a shotgun belonging to his grandfather and embarked on a
That boy said, "Fuck
journey
it."
of vengeance that would leave a trail of destruction in his wake. In the days that followed, Rodriguez killed the vice mayor of Alfenas,
What?
the man responsible for his father's dismissal,
Oh, okay.
and then turned his attention to a guard at the school whom he believed to be the true thief. But that was
Okay.
just the beginning.
I guess.
Fleeing for his life, Rodriguez sought refuge in Mogi das Cruzes, a gritty urban jungle on the outskirts of Sao Paulo. But instead of lying low, he embarked on a campaign of vengeance, targeting drug dens and killing anyone who stood in his way.
Wow.
As his notoriety grew, he became a legend in the news media, a shadowy figure known only as Pedrinho Matador, or Little Petey Killer.
So they knew him.
It was in Sao
They knew it was him.
Paulo that Rodriguez met the love of his life, Maria Aparecida Olympia, but their happiness was short-lived. Rodriguez was quickly drawn into the local street gang, but soon he found himself in a deadly game of cat and mouse with rival
Cat and
gang
mouse.
members. In a chilling turn of events, Rodriguez killed 3 rival gang members in cold blood. As if that wasn't enough, Botinia became pregnant with Rodriguez's child, only to
shit.
be cruelly murdered by a rival gang leader.
That's
Devastated and full of
so
rage,
fucked. Like,
Rodriguez, still a teenager, made a decision that would change his life forever.
it's crazy.
Enraged by the loss of his beloved, Rodriguez burst into a wedding arranged by the
Oh.
gang's leader, where he violently killed 7 attendees and wounded
Jeez.
16. But the bloodshed didn't stop there. Within months of this
Is this
incident,
vengeance now?
Rodriguez
This is not
received
even.
news that his favorite cousin had been impregnated by her boyfriend, only to be cruelly rejected when she asked for his hand in marriage. This boyfriend also lost his life on the hands of Rodriguez.
But my question is, if they knew who he was, I feel like, why mess with him? Why mess his
Rodriguez's
family?
thirst for revenge
I know back then that the cops were bots, so they didn't really arrest him. They didn't really care. He just pay out. But as a civilian, why would you even like mess around with him and his family? I wouldn't even like
took an even
get close.
more gruesome turn when he visited his father in prison and learned the horrific truth about his mother's death. Rodriguez discovered that his father had been incarcerated for using a machete to kill and
Machete.
dismember his mother. Consumed by a sense of betrayal and with a heart full of retribution, Rodriguez plunged a knife into his father's chest. Not once,
What?
not twice, but a staggering 22 times.
Damn.
He did not stop at that, but cut out his father's heart and sunk his teeth into it.
What the?
Even the toughest of criminals would be terrified by this cruel act.
That's what I'm saying. Like, stay away.
Decoding Rodriguez's personality.
At that point,
Rodriguez had a
I'll stay
peculiar
away.
modus operandi.
I'll
He
stay
hunted
away.
down criminals
I'm good.
with meticulous planning, butchering them with a panoply of methods. Though he claimed to prefer blades to do his dirty work, he didn't shy away from capturing and torturing career criminals and drug dealers to their gruesome end, especially when consumed by rage. Sometimes he even took inspiration from his victims' criminal tactics, be it slaying his own father or massacring 7 people in a day. Whenever word of a crime reached him, it was enough to unleash his inner vigilante. Rodriguez was a complex character that fascinated both psychiatrists and criminologists alike. While some labeled him a sociopath, others thought he was the epitome of a psychopath. His psychological report revealed his paranoid and antisocial tendencies, but he was a highly intelligent vigilante serial killer with a photographic memory. His murders were not just a hobby, but the foundation of his identity, making him a dangerous avenger whose twisted mind was always one step
Nah, that's
ahead.
crazy. This is crazy.
Bars beyond control. Rodriguez didn't stop killing even after he was caught and thrown behind bars. He was arrested on May 24, 1973. He was 19
I don't
then
understand,
and
because
spent the
wouldn't he
majority
just
of
kill
his
people in there
adult
too?
life behind bars. Even before getting into prison, while being transported alongside another prisoner with his hands cuffed, Rodriguez managed to secretly take the life of his fellow
Exactly.
inmate. When the officers finally opened the vehicle door and discovered the tragic scene, Rodriguez brazenly confessed to the gruesome act, justifying it by claiming that his victim was a rapist. While in
Exactly.
prison, he continued to take lives, claiming the souls of 47 fellow inmates.
Jesus.
He even killed a cellmate simply because the poor guy snored too loudly.
Oh, nah.
It wasn't just for the
Nah,
thrill
this
of
is-
the
this-
kill either. Rodriguez also murdered inmates because he had a wicked sense of justice. He killed those he thought did not deserve to live. Despite his heinous crimes, Rodriguez almost walked free in 2003. That is, until authorities realized just how many lives he had taken while locked up. He was finally released in 2007, but not for long. He was arrested again in 2011 for a new round of offenses and sent back to prison.
Pause. Ooh. Hold on. Go back. Wait. One thing at a time. No, wait. No.
The Vigilante Serial Killer. The Vigilante.
Right here. Pause. So he spent 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 years. Let's just say 3 years outside, right?
Too loudly. It wasn't just he had a wife. In 2000, he had taken, but not offenses and sent back to prison. For
Second of all, how, like, just at this point, just say year, just say life.
128 years.
Once it passes, I feel like once it passes like 50 years, just say like life.
Serial killer to YouTuber, a redemption arc. In a shocking turn of events, Rodriguez walked free in 2018,
What?
despite being diagnosed as a psychopath, as Brazil's laws did not permit indefinite detention of such individuals. Adding to
Where
the
he at now?
outrage was the fact that the maximum prison sentence in the country was only 30 years,
Oh,
leaving
shit.
many wondering if justice had truly been served. Rodriguez's release left a bitter taste in the mouths of those who feared that his brand of evil would once again roam the streets. Brazil's legal system may have set him free, but his twisted past continued to fascinate the world. After all, how often does a notorious serial killer like Rodriguez become a YouTuber? Yes, you
Well,
heard that right.
There's a lot of singers that are serial killers and they become
the once famed
rappers and
vigilante
singers.
who had once taken
So
the law into his own
it
hands,
wouldn't be
retired from his murderous
he
ways,
retired. Brody, oh my god, bro. I want to see this interview.
pledged not to commit any more crimes. Instead, he used his newfound freedom to launch a YouTube channel where he shared his views on contemporary crime, crusaded against gang violence, and urged the public to shun criminal activities.
Yeah.
An iconic anti-hero. Rodriguez's notorious story inspired
One thing that I actually agree with Myron Gaines is about the live stream. Waterboard niggas live TV or whatever his streaming thing when he becomes president, if he does. I do support that, bro. One of the things I do support is that shameful and public torture.
the most iconic and beloved anti-heroes of modern times, Dexter Morgan. Jeff Lindsay's book series, Dexter, and the subsequent television adaptation starring the brilliant Michael C. Hall immortalized the image of Rodriguez as the archetypal vigilante serial killer. His notoriety also earned him the moniker of the Brazilian Dexter in international media.
That's crazy.
In addition to this, Rodriguez's twisted psyche influenced the creation of characters in other popular works, such as Takumi Hijirihara and Shuji Fujigawa in the manga series Danganronpa Gaiden, Killer Killer by Kazutaka Kodaka.
Oh shit.
Rodriguez's heinous crimes and behavior behind bars also made him a prominent figure in Yana Kasoi's book Serial Killers Made in Brazil, cementing his place in the annals of true crime history. The violent end. In a dramatic and violent turn of events, the notorious Brazilian serial killer Rodriguez met his untimely end on March 5, 2023.
Oh, just now.
The killer was shot and killed in broad daylight by two unknown assailants who unleashed a hail of bullets from a car before speeding off in another vehicle. The brazen attack shocked the city of Mogi das Cruz, leaving the police scrambling for leads and the public fearing a potential resurgence of the killer's legacy. As of now, no arrests have been made in connection with
Ain't nobody
gonna
arrest nobody, bro.
Many to wonder who is behind this deadly act of vigilantism. As the sun sets on the gripping story of
he had a son.
infamous Brazilian serial killer Pedro Rodriguez, one can't help but feel a sense of unease. His brutal and calculated killings shook the nation to its core, and his mysterious death only adds to the enigma that surrounded him throughout his life.
13. Oh wow.
Despite the best efforts of law enforcement and psychologists alike, the true motives.
Yo, go subscribe to this dude. This dude does pretty good edits. I know this is all AI, but pretty cool edits.
And inner workings of Rodriguez's mind remain elusive, leaving
The
behind.
voiceover is AI. I know that. The story is real, but he found it AI. But the edits, it's all him.
Of unanswered questions and a sense of dread that lingers to this day. The world may never fully comprehend the depths of Rodriguez's
I think so. I don't know.
But
This is a self-edit.
for certain. His legacy as one of the most fascinating
It's
and
cool.
terrifying killers in history is etched into the chronicles of true crime lore forever. Could anything have been done to prevent the atrocity?
Well, whatever. Like and subscribe. If you don't want Pedro Killer PD to come on your nightmares, like and subscribe. I ain't.